Hey everybody, it's Paul Foster here with Secondhand Productions, and we're going to continue working on the matte painting that I worked on last week. This is from the film Perdition. It's a short film that we shot last summer, Michael Lyons and myself. And if you haven't seen the matte painting work we did last week, I'll include the link below. Also, if you haven't yet done so, please show us some love, support. You can hit that big red button down below. You can subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. You can follow us on Twitter at Paul_SHP, and you can follow us on Facebook at the Secondhand Production Films Facebook page. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue working on this matte painting. When I left last time, it was kind of unfinished, and then I was just thinking, I was like, well, maybe I need to keep working on this, and then what I'll do is I will show you how I would composite this shot using this matte painting. If we go back in, just as a quick reminder, go back into After Effects, you can see here's the original shot, but you can see the wind affecting the grass. I really kind of want to hopefully be able to, when I get done with this, maintain some of that effect, but I definitely want this color here to stand out. And I've thought of a couple ways I could do this. Now I can do it through the matte painting, or I can do it through like a secondary color correction, where I could single out these lighter hues and make them a little bit more yellowish. But we're gonna play with that a little and see if that goes, if that works. If it doesn't, we'll try something different. This is the matte painting that we worked on last week, and what I have here is got a little overlay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to duplicate this layer. I don't want to make it go away. You can increase that. That's actually making more of the background bleed through. And I've kind of found that allowing some of that background to bleed through really kind of adds to the believability, because realistically, if people are going to focus where they're going to focus in this shot, they're going to be watching what's going on right down here. All this other stuff is they're just going to catch it in their peripheral vision. And so it's okay if it's not perfect. Did I say that? I don't know. I'm just talking now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to zoom in up here. And what I want to get rid of is I just kind of want to get rid of that blue. That blue is what's left from the background of this image. See, if I get rid of that, it's actually this blue up here. And so I don't need this blue. You can go like there, and that goes away. There's other ways you can deal with this. So what's happening is these layers are laying on top of that one, and because I've done away with most of this mountain up at the top, up here, you're starting to see that blue from that bottom image shine through. So I don't want to do that, but what I'm thinking I can do is make some adjustments by putting some of that image, and that's why it's so important just to use a mask, because then you're never really truly getting rid of the image. But I want to go real light about it, so I'm not, not overcompensating. If that makes any sense. And you'll see why. And I don't mind this. We'll put this back in. That's fine. This actually looks really cool. So there's a part of me that kind of liked the fact that was in there to a degree. I could probably shrink that down. We'll swap this out. I kind of liked that. This layer here, if I duplicate it and I stick it behind this layer, is I can actually make these trees in the back feel a little farther away. All right, so we'll go brush. I don't like that. That's locked. We're going to unlock it. We're going to put a mask on it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. When I zoom this up, oh, that was a little too much. Wow, that was 6%. Let's go 1%. Just all you're doing is you're kind of making that feel a little bit more faded. The downside to that, I guess, is then I need to put this guy back under here. And then it kind of helps add some depth to it. But what I can do with this particular image is I can go ahead and pull it down. But I just want to pull this down just enough. See, I can see that stuff in the back. I just want the blue sky. And hopefully, I could probably put it back. Yeah, I don't know how it's going to affect the other part up at the top. Doesn't seem to be hurting it too much. But now we've got this cool line, and don't worry about this trees because I'm gonna save this. And when I do, and I go into After Effects with this matte painting, it's gonna look really good. I promise. I think. So let's see what we got here. Another important thing is when you're exporting out to Photoshop from After Effects, from After Effects, make sure you're over here in your After Effects that you're doing this at a full resolution. Otherwise, you're going to get a partial resolution image back, and it's going to look really funky, and you're not going to like it. So now I pulled this stuff down, but I think what I want to do is go ahead and put a ramp on that. I think just there's a reason why I don't want some of that background image to bleed through any of the stuff that I've worked on. So I want this to be all this I'm using my hand. I want all of this area through here to only come from this image here. So I don't want any of this to bleed through areas where I maybe have gone in and done something, which I really haven't. I mean, I have that there and it's completely white. That means it shows everything. So once you've done all that, you can either unlock or lock. And we're going to pull this back. I think it's pretty darn close to where I wanted it to begin with. There, you could put some cumulus clouds in there, but I think that might be a little bit over the top. So let's go with this for now. All right, that's saved. Now we're going to go over to After Effects. And I originally had already done my compositing for this, but for the sake of this video, I went ahead and I said, well, let's do it again. Why not? All right, once again, I don't want to merge layers. Select OK. So we're going to get this guy right here. We'll pull him down. And obviously, you can see if I change my composite settings, I can go into my 2.35 aspect ratio. So I can just change the parameters of the image to be 1920 by 820, which is 2.34. And select OK. That's fine. And then it changes this entire composition to match. So now, obviously, I'm kind of short here. And the reason I'm short is I've got if I look at my composite settings, I've got a 1 minute and 11 second run here. And on this guy, I don't. So if I open this up and I go to my composites, obviously the marker's there. Go into my settings. Yeah, so I need to go 1 minute, 11 seconds. I didn't see what the rest of that was, but okay. Then it's going to resize all this. Then the only thing I got to do is take all of these and we're just going to stretch them. You hold that shift key and it'll take it right there, so it'll lock in to this edge. If you didn't already know that, now you do. Obviously, you can't see anything happening. There's a couple things I need to do. One is camera's actually moving. You can see it shaking here. Right? Now you can stabilize that. I actually stabilized it pretty good. Can you see any of the fields moving? The field's probably, the grass is all perfectly still now. Let's see. No, it's going. Right here, you can see where it auto scaled it to 100.9%. You had to increase it just a hair for it to work. But that's actually a pretty smooth warp. It actually cleaned it up really well. I might not have to motion track the camera after all. Now what we do have to do, I always say that. Why do I say that? What we need to change is I need to scale this thing up to 100.9% as well. Otherwise, it's obviously a little bit smaller. And so I will go into the properties of this right here into my transfer, and I just need to change my scale to 100.9. 100.9. Okay, we're good. So we're good there. So if I were to adjust my opacity, it should be like going from all of a sudden I have no mountain to I have a mountain. I have no mountain, I have a mountain. So, all right, here's our next step. For compositing this shot in, we have to create a matte that we can use to tell this image right here, our source, what to show what am I going to show behind it, because this image, this image is actually going to be in the back. This is our matte. This is our matte painting. So, and the way I do this is I will control. Okay, there it goes. I hit Control J, which is Photoshop for duplicate, and then Control D is duplicate and After Effects. Okay, so this is going to be our mask, or our matte, or our matte. Okay, and now depending on what kind of things you're doing, and usually when it involves trees with a lot of details, a lot of intricate details up here, especially up high, where I can see in between all of these little branches, you can't just do an alpha key. If I did like a chroma key or some kind of, like color replace, it seems like that would work, but it's not going to be real clean. And I think I've showed this in other videos, but what I really enjoy doing is I use actually a color effect called, I basically use color correction, and I use change, where's Colorama? There it is. And you say, well, why would you do that? Well, now I'm going to switch my output phase, not my input. My output phase, I want to switch this over to my ramp grayscale. Now I've got, even though it's gray, and I can darken this up considerably by adding another piece in there, I've got this. Usually the way I would adjust it is I would go this way with it, and when you do that, it's going to allow some of this stuff to bleed through. Then we're going to get some of those yellows. We're still going to get some of that to come through, and we should be okay. Now, so let's test that. There it is. Look at that. So now I've got this nice, I can see all these little, you can see all these details in that mountain behind. It is a little bit if I want it to blend, I want to allow some of that, more of that to bleed through. All right, now that I've kind of like figured out how I want to handle that, so I can adjust this accordingly, and I can also adjust my cycle repetitions. And if I go down like 6, 9, something like that, it's going to make it fade out farther. If I go up to like 1.05, it's going to make the back stand out more. But the nice part about doing it this way, and what makes this really kind of like a cool technique, especially when you're dealing with trees, is you really want to be able to see through this. And by having this layer like that, you're allowing that back image, which is the matte painting, of course, that was my mistake. You're allowing the source to show through in these areas, and then some of that color bleeds through, because it's not actually, you know, white and black like an actual like alpha matte. You're kind of like doing this feathered effect by doing it this way, I guess you'd say. So what's cool is we get to allow a lot of this stuff to bleed through, but not everything. And so, and all you have to do to accomplish that is you're just going to Lumen that. Now, if I did like a Lumen invert, you see what that would do? That would just basically show me the image that's underneath. I don't want to do that. Because then what it's going to do is it's going to bring everything that was down low through, and it's going to kind of like taper off everything above. If I did alpha, it's not a real alpha matte. You know, it's either all or on or all off. But that creates a nice effect. It gives us some depth back there. And one of the things that I could do is, you know, because I've got this line of these right here, this tree, I can actually take this matte painting. I can duplicate it above, because I do want that high. I like this, and then I can figure out a way to not show all of that. And what I could do is create another, maybe another matte. Slow to respond. Here we go. And I'll put that one in front. We still got the effects, which is cool. But now what I can do is I can change this matte to show me something different. So I can play with this. And most likely what I could do is... I think I know what I can do. I can pre-comp this. Okay. I'm going to move all the attributes and everything inside. I think that's what I want to do. Use this. No, I want to use this option to create a new interface. Well, I'm not sure. Let's figure it out. Okay. That's cool. Now I'll open this up, because I left all the attributes on the other side. And I don't think I really wanted to do that now that I think about it. Let's go back here. Let's undo this. Let's recomp it again. And I want to move them inside. Adjust composition, duration, time. Span is selected layer, so that's fine. Okay. So it's going to create something, I hope. Oh, it's going to crash. No. Why are you doing? No, don't do that. That's bad. Oh my gosh. Thing's gonna blow up. Look at it. Come on, man. What are you guys doing here? What's going on? What in the heck was that all about? That is just crazy. Okay. Weird. Okay, Let's undo what it just did. Okay, so turn off that. Okay. That was just crazy. Why would it do that? It like... Now I gotta think of what I'm trying to do here all of a sudden. Okay. Okay, so this is the matte painting, and that's the matte. Okay. So I'm gonna pre-comp this. Let's see if it blows up on me again. I should save it first. Cancel. Because it is acting strange. Extremely weird. Let's see if it'll save for me. Oh, man. Alright, so now I'm going to pre-comp this. All that's good. Select OK. See if it does it. Oh, are you serious? What is going on with this thing? Look at this. It is just spitting all over itself. I have no idea why it's doing this. Adobe. Care to comment? So it's still going crazy up here. Oh, now it's doing something. Finally. Weird. I don't know what to say. Don't know what to do. It's just strange. Alright. So now what I'm going to do is... I wonder if it's because that warp state. Oh. I don't know. Maybe it's the warp stabilizers causing problems for it. Let's go out of cycle. So here, what I want to do is I really don't know if that's going to work or not. I'm wondering if... Alright, we're going to try something new. I'm going to try this. I don't know if this is going to work. We're going to put a Lumetri effect on here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put a mask. I think I am. I'm not sure. I don't know if I can. I can do this. See, let's try this. Let's put an adjustment layer. Then we'll put the Lumetri effect on the adjustment layer. This is just weird. I ain't gonna lie, this is just crazy ideas. And then I thought I could put a mask or something. I can put a mask on the adjustment layer. And I can go like this. What I really want to do is I want to lighten the inside and I want to darken the outside. So then if I, by doing that, if I invert my mask, I'm messing with stuff I have not done before here, so y'all just gonna have to bear with me. And then I go into my basic correction. And I take my whites. So we're gonna let everything on the outside go. No. Everything on the inside go. And then we're gonna go black that out. Then we're going to zero that. Never mind. Forget that. Forget I did that. We'll take our exposure down. Yes. Now what we're going to do is, this is going to get really crazy. We're going to take our mask and then we're going to apply a feather. And then, I've never tried this before. So we're basically kind of creating this custom mask because I want some of that sun to show. And I want to make sure it's nice and bright. So then what I can do is, it allows me to kind of get a little creative with the highlights. And I think this is going to work. I'm not 100%. So if I go back to here and I look at, I've got a Lumen mat there. So this is, so if I say no track. Okay, so I got to think this through here. I go Lumen mat. Go here. Okay, so it's still pretty bright. So what I need to do is put levels on the other image. This is still too dark. So maybe if I do levels on my adjustment layer, if I come down here, and I take, it's inverted. Maybe that's what I'm doing, is I'm doing it wrong. So if I go like this and I flop my invert, then it should allow, maybe that's what I did wrong. So let's go back. And there it is. Hey, yeah, there you go. Lumen. So now what I've got is I've got the cool sun glow effect. I've got that in the background. I'm kind of like doing a layered thing, you see. So I'm adding some sun glow to it. And it's adding a little bit more detail, the lighting and everything. But what I got to make sure it doesn't do is I can't lose the detail on my tree here. So that's the thing I can't lose. So I have to go back into, let's go back into this map. I'm losing too much of my detail. So what I can do is I can just kind of like scale this back and make sure that that doesn't go away. So add this back. And it's less. It's a lot better. And I still get that cool bright sun side. So there we go. Which is nice. Now, if I play this, there's a problem. You see this guy? This is because I don't have, he's not really showing up. The reason he's not showing up is my source video is down here and it's being kind of pseudo blocked by all these other filters. So I have to look at the two masks that I'm using, and I can't allow and I could probably fix that. I'm gonna guess here, in this section here, because what I can do is I can go back to my Photoshop file, and I could just make sure that there's nothing there, that isn't going to be replacing this whole section here. Can't be replacing it. So I think that's how that's going to work. And I'm going to confirm that in a second. So see, we have to get him. Okay. So if I turn off the matte painting, that matte painting. Okay. So what I want to do is make sure that we're blending, all this stuff is blending in clean. And I'm really not wanting to take away from the bottom part of this image. So let's go back to full screen, to fit. And then what I'm going to do is actually not fit, but I'm going to make sure I add a and we'll go like that, and we'll come back. So I put that on there, and then I think I need to invert this matte. Let's invert it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy that same mask and come up here on matte painting 2, and I'm going to do the same thing. Invert it, and now when we look at him, he's not being masked out. Now the key is I got to feather this, otherwise it's going to be a hard line. Say if I go away, you'd see the hard line right here. You'd see that right there. So that's, we'll do is we'll grab this and that, and we're going to feather them both together. So blend that in, and then see what it looks like. It's slow. Probably drop it down to a quarter just for compression and see how fast he moves through that. Now the nice thing we've accomplished here is he's still doing his thing. He's going to walk up to the tree, and I'm actually going to go ahead and go full. I'll not make you wait for it to do it. I'm going to let it do its thing, and then I'll come back. I didn't let it finish because I see something right up here that I'm going to show you in a second. But this is kind of what it looks like. You really want to, don't be shy about getting down in there and making sure. This is at 400%. So what I want to make sure is things aren't bleeding through him. And you can see a little bit, it's bleeding through him a little bit. But I think it's going to be okay because this is 100%. And I'm not really seeing anything drastic that's problematic. This is such a brief shot, you know, it really is. And and I mean, when he gets down into it, all right, this is 100%. Yeah, it looks pretty solid. All right, so to the problem I'm having, you see right up in here, I think this is with our second matte, and the way I feathered it out and what I'm allowing to bleed through versus not. So when I get rid of this, you see how it kind of all goes away. All right, it's going to save my project in the middle of this conversation. Give it a second. Save often. I had a project I was working on last week. I was making good progress, and then we had a power outage, and I realized afterwards I hadn't saved it. Okay, so I think what's happening is my Luma mat here, it's kind of allowing some stuff to bleed through that I don't want to bleed through. And so it's not that it's doing anything wrong. I think what it is, it's my feather. It's a little bit hefty. So let's tone that back down. See what that looks like. Still bleeding through. Is that on my original image? Oh, it is. Oh, man. That's where the problem lies. Oops. Okay. Let's go here. Let's get in here and see what I did wrong. So, okay, well, that's not bad, actually. I can live with this as long as that's not what it looks like on the other image. So if this is our original image, I'm fine. So let's see what's going on here. Well, I guess it is kind of, it's working to a degree. I'm not sure. Kind of feels like it's bleeding through it, though. So that's where I'm thinking there's a problem. So we'll go back over here. So let's see where that's at. Let's see where that's at. Okay. Yeah. So this is where the problem lies, I think. Alright, yeah, so it's bleeding through right here, and it shouldn't be. So we'll pull this over. We're going to kind of bring this up and see if that addresses my problem. Almost. It almost got me taken care of. I can bring this back some more. There we go. That's much better. So now what I'm not seeing is I'm not seeing that bleed through. And I'm getting the full image. And it's actually probably helping across the board. But I'm getting the sun over here, which is what I wanted. And it's like hitting these trees over here really hard. But it's not blasting the entire shot. And we're getting good color on the back. So I like that. And he stands out real good now. And there you go. That's how you would composite this shot. I've used Colorama multiple times before. I've done videos with Colorama. To definitely, where Colorama really, really helps is when you've got a lot of things that your background has to bleed through. Trees, especially when you get like a lot of branches and things like that. Or maybe the cinematography really didn't plan it out. Using Colorama as kind of like a matte effect to create a mask, to create like almost like an alpha matte or a Lumen matte for you, really helps you transition your actual footage into your matte painting, which is going to be in the background. I didn't have to track the motion of the camera and then tie the matte painting to that motion, mainly because I was able to stabilize the footage and then match the scale. So that made this real easy. This shot was on a tripod, and then when you add in that extra pop from the sunset, once we get into the other shots, and once this gets over into Premiere, and you apply your final color grade, that's going to look really good. But I think the cool effect was the idea that you could do layered masks or layered Luma mats, which is something I haven't done, and so that's kind of cool. Applying basically another matte, and then all I did here was that I want to see all of this. I don't really care about what's on the other side of here. You can go darker, you can go lighter. I went ahead and left it the way it was, but I really wanted to accentuate more of the what was in the matte painting, and so I guess you could apply the mask to the matte painting itself. and blended it in and done the same and accomplished the same thing. But I don't know. So what do you think? Share some of your thoughts with me. Let me know what you thought of my approach to solving my problems here, and if you agree with them or if you don't agree with them. I'm very interested in y'all's opinions. So there you have it. Like I said at the beginning, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit that bell button. Follow us. You can find us you can find me at Paul_SHP at Twitter, and you can find our Facebook page at Secondhand Production Films on Facebook. That's our group. It's our Facebook page, and then our website is thesecondhandproductions.com. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know. Like, share, comment below, and we'll see you guys next time.